Hello, everyone. Nice to have a chance to be here again and have a chat with you and share with you some thoughts. Tonight, we don't have anything really heavy. Uh, well, not that heavy at least. I want to talk to you a little bit about, just a few minutes, about happiness. What do you think about happiness? Is happiness something very difficult to attain, to feel happy? Is it only for the very wealthy? Because some of you believe that to be happy we need to have lots of things, stuff, like, if the newest cell phone maybe, or the brand name glasses, sunglasses, prescription glasses, shoes, clothing, I don't know, brand name clothing, or cars, all kinds of, fancy cars, or money, travel, stuff. And I can see how that can make you happy. But have you realized there are lots of people in the world that are actually very wealthy and they do have all these things that we just named a few right now, but still they're not happy? I mean, I'm sure some of them are, but I'm also sure many of them are not happy, even though they have all this stuff that we talked about. So let's discuss, why is that? In my opinion, humble opinion, I think happiness, to a large degree, or to a degree, I mean, let's put the parameters. Yes, of course, it'll be hard to be happy if someone has a very serious health problem, or family or friends, someone that you care about, that you know of, and has a health problem or challenge or something that you really want to do for them and you can't do it. I can understand all this. And let's just, for the sake of making it easy, because that's a very heavy subject, even though I said it's not that heavy, let's say these detrimental, these very serious conditions, situations, is of course, in most cases, could be, not in most cases, in some cases, it could be out of our control and hard to be able to be helpful in it. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the most cases that people are having seemingly normal lives and not of such horrendous issues that we just talked about, but they're still unhappy. So on that note, let's progress and see what we mean. So then happiness depends really on where you are in life, in my humble opinion, and depends on really what you expect about this emotion, this level of existence, of being happy or not being happy. Depends on if you really feel that happiness is something that would have to come to you, or is something that you can create. I have learned, whether I was always like this from childhood or not, I have learned happiness really is something that you can choose to create. And it shouldn't be dependent on outside forces, minus some things that we just talked about. I remember my mother used to tell stories about our childhood. I come from a family that I had siblings, and my mother said that she remembered that I was having a little VW bug when I was a little kid, I guess yellow color. And I was playing with that, and my brother apparently had better toy, or more toys, or better looking toy, or however it was. And she said that, I noticed that you played with that VW bug of yours, the yellow little car, all day long, and you didn't even glance about what the other toy was all about. You were happy. You were content with what you had, and you were making all kinds of happiness for yourself. You were having a good time. And I think that can tell me something, not just about my character, because the issue tonight is not is not dissecting me or my character, analyzing me. In general, I think that tells us that you need to learn and want to be happy for that moment to a degree that makes you happy, rather than comparing the degree that you're happy to a higher degree of happiness, or another kind of happiness, or a different level of happiness, or a happiness which can be created with when you have a lot more stuff to be happy with. So I feel you can be happy, and as long as you feel happy, then you should forego the idea of, oh, I could have been happier if I had 2 VW bucks, or if I had this other toy too. Because yes, it could be a different kind of happiness, but I believe happiness is happiness, regardless of what level of enjoyment or amusement it brings you, those toys, more toys, or the level of happiness and enjoyment that you're receiving from that one toy. Still, you're happy, and that should be what derives you, or and makes you enthusiastic about your time and the moment that you're spending by yourself or doing something. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're happy, then that should be good enough, rather than comparing it. Well, the other guy has got a better car, maybe he's happier. No, he may have a better car, he may not be happy at all, but you're far ahead of him because you're happy regardless of what you have. So I think happiness, we should search for happiness not in big things necessarily, such as hoping to buy a house, or hoping to get a promotion or a raise in the work that you do, or wishing for a better car. Well, if that is what we're waiting for to be happy, then we may be happy once a year, or once every 2 or 3 years, because we can't buy a house every year or every month. We can't get a new car necessarily. I mean, the average person like us can't buy a car every 15 days or a month. And the raise doesn't come 5 times a year. So therefore, if those kind of big things are what we're waiting for to get them and then feel happy, if those are happiness conditional to getting big things and big things happening in our life, then we may be happy once every few years or once every year. And I don't think life is long enough to actually be happy, which is the one of the most important and enjoyable sensations of living, every few years. I like to be happy every moment, if I can help it, every day, if I can help it. So through my life, I have come to realize that you can be happy looking and searching happiness in lots of little things. When you can understand the value and importance of, and how you feel when you have lots of these little things, and if you understand their value and their importance, and how they make you feel, each and every one of these little things, and because there are a lot more little things happening during our day than one big thing, which could be once every year or two, then we will have a lot more numbers of reasons and moments of happiness, because lots of little things are happening through the day. And if all those little, or at least if we focus on the little things that brings us happiness, and then we would have more number of happy occasions during the day. And so how can we find these little things? Well, it's true that, if we can understand the pleasure that this cup of tea can give me or you, and you enjoy when you drink it, and if you allow yourself to maybe flow to the feels that the tea was cultivated, the plants. And if you allow yourself to enjoy how it was picked and roasted and all that, and imagine those, or if you just simply allow yourself to thoroughly taste and smell the tea and the warmth, and allow your senses to feel the whole effect of the tea in your life or in this moment, well, of course, you get happy. That's one technique, which I use it too. Everything that you're doing in tranquility and relaxation should and does deserve to be given the full value and credit and the chance to express itself and impress you. But I like to go one step further, and that is, I think the real happiness and easier way to find happiness in numbers, in many occasions, in different circumstances, and often, to find them often, to actually have often enough, to find them enough, often enough to affect your life to the point that you actually, the quality of your life will change. It's because there's so many of these, not just one time drinking tea or whatnot. I think for that, you should focus on this, what I'm about to say. Find your happiness not in the big things that will happen for you and that you strive for in life. That's fine. That's a gravy. You do that, and they will give you the happiness and enjoyment that you deserve and they bring with themselves. But beside that, the most important one is to find your happiness in the comfort of another. Let me explain to you what I mean. If you drink a cup of tea, or if you drink a glass of water, or have food on the table for you, and you eat it, well, okay, great. That brings you happiness. But don't you think, if, for example, you have a child or someone that you love, or someone that you care, your child you love, or your child your spouse, or your child you love your parents, or you love your spouse, or you love your child, someone that you love, you care about immensely, and it's important to you. If that person drinks a tea, which means you bring the tea for that person, and if that person enjoys that cup of water, or the food that you put in front of him or her, doesn't that give you a different level and different quality of happiness? It sure does. But let's now go one step further. If your happiness is only about what you get and what you accomplish, well, that's great. And on big things, again, that's great. But if your happiness is based on how another person that you care and you love feels and enjoys and becomes happy, the comfort of that person, then there are lots of little things that would bring comfort to that person that you would be providing, and it brings comfort to that person, but you feel happy for that. In other words, if your child sleeps well, you're happy. If your child eats his or her food, good, you're happy. If your child does good at school, does her or his homeworks good, and understands the subject that you helped him or her, you're happy. If he's laughing or she's laughing, you're happy. If you make a cupcake and they love it, or if you make juice for them, like I did, and I'm really good at that, and they love it, they enjoy the taste, you're happy. But you don't get this happiness if you did all those things yourself. Like, you do your homework, yeah, you're satisfied. You have a good juice, you enjoy it. But there's a lot more enjoyment that brings happiness to you when you do it for someone else. In other words, there are lots of things that can bring you happiness if you do it for someone that you love, like your child or someone that you really care about, respect, and love, than it would be if it was only for you. So, in other words, we can say, if you're loyal to someone, everything that brings comfort, safety, and progress for that person, for that little person or big person, whoever it is that you love, brings you happiness. So we can say, if there is loyalty to someone, there is a lot more happiness than you could ever find if it was only for good stuff happening to you. And then we can always also say, if there is no loyalty, there is no happiness. So find the person that you love, whether it's your children, your wife, your husband, your father, your mother, and do things for them and bring comfort and safety for them. And there will be so many things you can do for them. And all those things, little things, can bring you happiness. So the number of things that makes you happy during the day will go exponentially. It just amazingly expands the numbers, and which brings a lot more happiness to you. And then you wouldn't be just stuck and wait until something very big or something very good will happen to you to make you happy. For yourself, you need big things happen to be happy, but if you love somebody and you're loyal to someone, every little thing that you do for them that brings comfort to them and progress for them makes you happy. So, something to ponder, and happiness is a choice. Make the choice and do what you can to be happy and stay happy. Talk to you soon.